The Kolbrin Bible, read to you by Nick Andrew Hurley. Part 2, Chapter 2, Eloma. It came about that the sons of the children of God mated with the daughters of the children of men, who knew well the ways of men and were not reserved. The covenant had been broken, and strange women were taken into the households, some even as wives. But though the daughters were lesser women, the sons were wonderful, big, and mighty fighting men. These new people came out of the wastelands and crossed to Cathermus, which they divided in 3 parts between them, and there were rivers on the boundaries. This was when the years of man's life were lessened, because he became fully earth-sustained, but he remained full of vigor, though filled with hostility, particularly towards those who loved. To the east was the land of Ubal, which was mountainous, and the Ubalites were herdsmen. Westward was the land of Chasen, and it joined Ubak in the north. Southward were the lands of Oth, and the lands of Canaan, whose people dwelt on the plains and tilled the soil. Some from the households of the children of God went into the lands of Chasen, and gave the people laws, and taught them to build with brick. Nettar and Batal-Shermaman, the son of Enanari, taught them writing, and set their letters on a pillar in Herak. And Kaligal, son of Nanduka, built Keridor, which stands between 2 rivers. Then came the lengthening of the years, when the time of sowing was confused, and seed died in the ground. In those days Enos came up out of Chasen, and spoke for the God of the children of men. In those days there were many having the blood of the children of God, who inclined their ears towards his words, for they thought the great God of their fathers had abandoned them. Therefore the enlightening word of God came to Eloma. Eloma, daughter of Kahama, heard the voice of God, and was carried into the wilderness unto a place where there was a cave and clear running waters, and she dwelt there for 7 years. Eloma had 3 sons, and they all heard the voice of God and walked with him. Her firstborn son was Haryana, and he carried the word of God to the children of God who dwelt in the northlands, for they had forgotten his ways. He married Didi, daughter of a great king, and became an even greater king. He had many sons who all became kings among men of renown. Yahama, her second-born son, carried the word of God to those who dwelt towards the sunrising, and Manum, her third-born son, carried it to those towards the sunsetting. When the ear of the Spirit was opened in Eloma, she returned to her people and became the interpreter of God. In the days when some men left to dwell among the children of men, others came to Eloma and said, Behold, men leave, and we become weak, while the children of men become strong. Can this be the will of our Father? Then Eloma called upon God, and he heard her cry, and said unto her, Let your spirit be at peace, for things happen as they will. It is the grain being winnowed from the shaft. It is always easier for men to follow the ways of the flesh than the ways of the Spirit. Yet the deeper man descend into the vale of earthly things, the harder the climb out to the heights of glory. A generation to go down, 10 generations to rise again. Man must struggle or degenerate, but the path of pleasure is pleasant, while the path of progress is beset with pain and strife. God said to Eloma, his servant, Behold, I have been good to my children. They have been given everything that is pleasant. Everything has come easily to their hand. The lot of the children of men is more harsh, and yet they prosper. Childish things are expected from a child, but when it grows up, more is anticipated. Yet still my children come to me as children. God then said, Go, return to the place from whence you came, and remain there for 7 years. And she did so. The 7 years passed, and Eloma returned to the people, and behold, the fertile fields were unsown, the waters' channels were dry, and there was desolation in the midst of the waters. Eloma sought among the fields, and when she came upon the habitations, her heart was rent apart, for she saw the daughters of the children of God consorted with the sons of the children of men, and were become unlike true women. When Eloma said to them, Wherefore has this thing come about? And they answered, Behold, men came from out of the wilderness, and our men were like sheep before wolves. See, even now they labor within a pen of servitude. Eloma then went unto them men, and said, Wherefore has this thing come about? And they answered her, Behold, the God of the children of man is unlike ours, a God of battles, and we were delivered into their hands. Then Eloma was heavy of heart, and called upon God, saying, Behold the plight of your children. And God heard her, and answered, I am not indifferent, for their suffering are my suffering. They are not under the whips of men, but under the flail of God. The grain is being separated from the chaff. They toil not under the blows of men, but under the hammer of God. They are not imprisoned, but are upon an anvil. I am not the God of battles, not the God of nations, not the God of men. I am the God of souls, the keeper of the treasures of eternity. I have not turned away from my children. My children have turned away from me, disobeying my laws. This cry will echo down through the generations of man. My God, why have you deserted me? And it will come from those who have deserted their God. Arise, go seek among the people, and you will find a maiden who is pure at heart, but she is mocked and degraded by being made a swine attendant. Take her with you, and go to Shinar. Guard her well, for she is the daughter of the new dawning. Eloma sought among the people, and found Nanua, maid of the morning, and they went to Shinar. The voice of God came to Eloma in Shinar, saying, This is the way things shall be with those who aspire to godhood. They must follow only the paths which I have shown through the words of my interpreters. The unfolding spirit residing in those who have the blood of the children of God, and the greatness that dwells in men shall be magnified in the blood of their children. Their wisdom shall be greatly multiplied, if the tie of blood be strong. As a good wine becomes bad if diluted overmuch, so is the greatness in the blood of man. There is a virtue in the blood of those whose forebears were the children of God, and if the two, having this blood, marry, then the virtue is increased in their children, so it is greater than either parent. There is a law of inheritance from which no man is exempt, for man is governed by the laws of earthly creatures as well as by greater laws. Is not the best ram chosen to sire a new flock? So let women choose the best among men, that they can let men choose the best among women, and they who heed my words will know which is the best. Let the truly great ones rule. God said, The creative words remain on this side of the veil, but their echoes resound on your side. The real remains here, but its reflection is there. Creation is my mirror, though it is not without distortions. I have created in spirit and in matter. My thoughts have ranged from the unseeable smallest to the incomprehensible largest. My greatest thoughts form substance for the spirits of the sons and daughters of earth. Truth and justice, perfection of beauty and goodness remain with me, and these you can know on earth only by their reflection. In the universe of truth, all things are free from illusion and are seen in reality, but on earth, even the reflection is distorted. I have created light and called it substance. It is illuminated within the light of an ever-present love potential. Men call on many gods, though above all there is but one. Yet whatever they call me, I will hear them. For I am the God above names, the God embracing all names. Whatever men believe, if it serves good, it serves God. But gold necklaces are not for sheep, and outward forms of worship must suffice for the spiritually underdeveloped. The rituals of men may often be empty ceremonials, but they may also guard the great mysteries behind them. If a man seeks to enter my presence by prayer and says, God, grant me this or give me that, the thing will be neither granted nor given, unless it be for his spiritual good or benefit another. I am no huckster bargaining blessings in exchange for worship. Nothing man can give can add to what I have. Also, it does me little honor when they fail to recognize that I am above concern for mere bodies which decay and fall apart when the in-living spirit leaves them. Yet man is but man. Know that I am God of understanding and compassion. If man cries out to me in genuine stress and suffering, he will not go unrelieved and uncomforted, yet understanding that suffering and sorrow are the lot of man, that he may become man-God. There is also the great law, to which man must conform. There are intricacies of inevitability to be unwoven, and the challenging paths of destiny and fate to be followed. Too often, the price to be paid for things done or not done is pain and suffering, sorrow and distress. But where would be the benefit to the debtor were I to wipe out such debts? Yet will I see that never be even a single grain will be exceeded that which is absolutely necessary and just. On earth, joy and gladness will always outweigh pain and sorrow. Earth is earth. Take it as you find it. Do not expect to find heavenly things there. It is a place of tuition, and the purpose of life is learning. All things of earth are limited and mortal. Immortality will not be found there. When the things of earth have fulfilled their hidden purposes, each passes away, returning to the dust from whence it came. Behold, in the days to come truth shall be unfolded to all peoples, revealed in the degree and manner which will accord with their needs and capabilities. It will be passed on from generation to generation and from man to man. The purity of its flame will accord with the quality of the oil of spirituality with which it is fed and replenishes. Hence, there will be many differing degrees of purity in revelation. The food which one man enjoys may sit heavily in the stomach of another, yet it would be foolish to say that the food enjoyed by one should become the food for all. So it is with the spiritual things which men believe. I will not send prophets, nor will I appoint spokesmen, but such will arise through their own efforts and enter into conscious union with me. They will point the way, which will be followed by the spiritually sturdy, but others less strong in spirit must take a slower path, and many will advance only by faith and service, by justice and kindness towards others. The spark of divinity in man generates inspiring dreams, which will ever lure him onward and upward. Yet the road is long, the journey wearing and often unpleasant. Man has unnecessarily encumbered himself. He has enshrouded his spirit under a winding sheet of earthly passions. With his great eye blinded by indulgences in vice and his spirit corroded by corruption, his fallible senses only are left to him, and these deceive him into believing the mortal vehicles is his total being. Affliction and decay are now the lot of man, and he has passed into a long, dark night of ignorance. Now, only by journeying the long and painful road of earthly experience can his soul be cleansed and awakened to the realization of the glory within him. Man may conceive me as he will, and it will be well. I am not a god of pettishness. As I brought forth the creation, so shall he bring forth the revelation of his God. Unto you, Eloma, my child, I grant the keys of communion and union. Then Eloma went out among the people and taught them about their Creator in this manner. I bring you the soul-whispered words of God, the eternal tower of strength, the fathomless ocean of compassion. He has hung the earth in the void, surrounding it with nothingness, yet by his power it remains in its appointed place. He veils his glory behind the shield of illusion, lest its power overpower the spirits of men. He is obscured by the dark cloud of mortal ignorance. He is the inspirational spirit ever entering the hearts of man, striving to arouse them to reach out towards greatness and achievement. He has molded the sky above us and bedecked it with splendor and awesome beauty. He taught the stars their song of joy and the winds their wondrous music. All the widespread earth proclaim him creativity, while the high vaults reveal his skill and handiwork. His messages go out to men, not in the speech of men, but in wordless whispers to their hearts. His finger prescribes a course for the fertilizing waters which nourish the desolate sands, making tender buds burst forth from the dead soil. The soft waters caress the grounds, and pastures arise to become the habitations of great flocks and herds. The rose unfolds its beauty to honor him, and the woodbine delights him with perfume delivered upon the wind. The cornfields bow in humility, then the wheat stalks rise up towards in praise. The trees spread wide their worshipping branches, and the barley heads whisper together of his sun-giving bounty. He is the fountainhead of all life, the overseer of the fertilizing waters and the captain of the stars. Men stand beneath the great dome of the night skies and are overawed by the work of their architect and by the bright mysteries displayed in such a pattern of beauty. They become dismayed at their own smallness, but are reassured by his words which have come down to them from ancient times. God has crowned man with life and set the scepter of intellect in his hand. He has given him the flail of mastery over all other living creatures and set him on the throne of creation. He disciplines us when young and stretches out a welcoming hand when we near the end of life's journey. He accompanies men on their pilgrimage along the road of life, mitigating their misfortunes and rejoicing with them in its pleasant surprises. He balances the lives of all men, so they continually encounter conditions and situations meant for them. The widespread, mysterious heavens are his throne, and bountiful earth is his footstool. No structure man could build would contain him. Did he need a residence, no place built by the hands of man could compare with that which his hands could erect. There is nothing on earth that man can give God which could add to his glory or increase what he has. The only acceptable sacrifice man can offer is service to the will of God, and God's will is that man should spiritualize himself and improve the earth. To offer goods or money as a sacrifice is an insult to God. It is shirking the needful effort, evading the necessary duty and obligation. It is the easy way and not the acceptable. God is the refugee of the poor and the comforter of the needy. His compassion encompasses men when troubles weigh heavily upon them. Yet tribulation and adversity, sorrow and suffering, are not to be thought of as needless burdens imposed upon the difficulties inseparable from earthly life. They are things of value which open the eyes to truth, tempering the spirit as iron is tempered in the flame. Eloma taught many things, and she forbade any man to fornicate with unwedded matrons whose silver tongues beguiled and whose winsome ways led men astray. She also decreed that men should not fornicate with any maid or another's wife, for none so doing could call himself an honorable man, and such deeds cankered the spirit. It was Eloma who taught men the wisdom of the stars which journeyed according to their destinies. She taught them to interpret the pattern of each man's life, which is woven from the threads of fate and destiny, and interwoven with the many-colored strands of Nevedu. These things were learned and written down by Ishkiga. End of chapter 2.